Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
The United Kingdom and the European Union made an important new agreement. This happened in London on May 19, 2025. It was the first time their leaders met like this since Brexit. The leader of the UK is Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He spoke about the deal. He said it was a great day for Britain. He believed it would help Britain be strong again globally. He promised that the deal would bring new jobs for people. He also said it would help make everyday costs cheaper and make the country's borders safer. The leader from the EU is President Ursula von der Leyen. She also spoke about the agreement. She called it a historic moment. She said she thought it would make a real positive difference for people living in the UK and for people in all the countries of the European Union. The leaders wrote a statement together after their meeting. They said they agreed to a new plan for their relationship. This plan is called a strategic partnership. It is based on agreements they already had from the time after Brexit. They said they would work to make these old agreements work well. The new agreement is very broad. It includes many specific plans to make things easier. For example, it aims to reduce problems with trade between the UK and the EU. It also wants to improve how they work together on rules and laws, and it plans to increase their help with security and defense. The main goal of this deal is to reset the relationship between the UK and the EU after Brexit. Brexit was a big change. This deal tries to build a better way for them to work together now. It wants to solve problems that came after the UK left the EU. The deal covers several key areas. One area is trade. It aims to make buying and selling goods between the UK and EU easier. This includes things like food and factory products. Another area is security. The UK and EU want to cooperate more to fight crime and keep everyone safe. This means sharing information and working together on defense. They also plan to work together on other important things. This includes fighting climate change, making travel and study easier for young people, and managing borders. The agreement touches on many parts of life and business. This new agreement shows that the UK and the EU want to move forward. They want to fix problems from the past. They want to build a stronger partnership for the future. It is a step towards a new chapter in their relationship, aiming for smoother trade, better security, and closer cooperation in many areas for the benefit of people on both sides. 2. Better trade for food. This new deal brings good news for food and farming. Selling food between the UK and the EU was sometimes hard after Brexit. There were many rules and checks for products from farms like meat, milk, fruits, and vegetables. These checks were for the health of animals and plants. They were called sanitary and phytosanitary checks, or SPS for short. The new deal changes this. It makes trading food and farm products easier. The new rules remove many of the old checks. Now many routine checks on animal and plant goods will not happen. This means that farm products can travel more freely. Before this deal, it was difficult for some British foods to be sold in the EU. For example, selling British sausages was hard because of the rules and checks. But now, the deal changes this. British food like sausages, burgers, and other meat products can be sold in the EU again more easily. This is important for UK businesses that make food. It helps them to sell more of their products to countries in the EU. Selling goods to other countries is called exporting. When it is easier to export, UK companies can grow and make more money. Removing the difficult paperwork and many checks also helps businesses save time and money. When businesses save money, it can sometimes mean that prices in shops are lower for people who buy food. The government hopes that these changes will help lower food prices for families. The UK government believes these new rules for food trade are a big step. They think that making trade easier for farm products will help the whole UK economy. They have said that these changes, along with other parts of the deal, could add a lot of value to the UK economy in the future. This shows that the government sees the easy flow of food and farm goods as a key part of the new relationship with the EU. This part of the deal is very practical. It directly helps farmers and food companies. It also aims to help people who buy food by making it possibly cheaper or easier to find certain products. It is a clear example of how the new rules can make everyday life and business better after the changes from Brexit. Both the UK and the EU work to find a way to make this trade smoother, so that food can cross borders without big problems like before. This is good for businesses on both sides. 3. New rules for energy and factories. The new agreement between the United Kingdom and the European Union brings changes for energy and for factories. These changes are important for businesses and for fighting climate change. One big change is about carbon markets. The UK and the EU plan to connect their carbon markets. A carbon market is a system to control pollution from industries. When these markets are linked, it means UK companies will not have to pay a special tax from the EU. This tax was planned for goods coming from countries that do not have similar rules for pollution. By linking the markets, British companies can sell their goods in the EU without this extra cost. This helps them stay competitive. It also means the UK and EU are working together more closely on rules to protect the environment and fight climate change. The deal also talks about energy, specifically electricity. The UK wants to explore joining the EU's market for electricity. This means the UK and EU could work together more closely on buying and selling electricity. It could help make energy supplies more secure and perhaps cheaper in the future. The UK government says this is about cooperation on energy and does not mean the UK is joining the EU again. They say it is simply about working together on energy matters. For factories that make goods, there are also new rules. The deal helps some British exports. For example, there is a special plan for steel made in Britain. This plan means that British steel sold to the EU will not face new taxes that were planned. This saves UK steel companies money, estimated to be millions of pounds each year. This special arrangement helps protect jobs in the steel industry. The agreement helps other factories and industries too. It makes trade smoother for different types of goods. The goal is to make it easier for UK businesses to sell their products in the EU and for EU businesses to sell in the UK. Less paperwork and fewer checks mean that goods can move more easily across borders. Overall, these new rules for energy and factories are designed to support British businesses. By making trade easier and cheaper in some areas, the deal aims to help companies grow and protect jobs. Working together on energy and climate also shows a step towards closer cooperation between the UK and the EU in important areas. 4. Easier travel and study. The new deal between the UK and the EU is not just about trade or energy. It also helps people. It makes travel and study easier for many. This is good news for students, young workers, and even people who travel with their pets. First, there are new plans for young people. The UK and the EU want young people to move more freely. There will be a new plan to help young people work and study. They can travel across borders for jobs or for school. This means a young person from the UK could study in France, or a young person from Germany could work in the UK. This plan helps young people see new places and learn new things. It helps them get new experiences in different countries. The UK also wants to join a special program again. This program is called Erasmus+. It helps students study in other countries in Europe. Before, the UK was part of this program. Many students from the UK studied in EU countries. Many students from EU countries studied in the UK. The new deal says the UK wants to be part of Erasmus+ again. If this happens, more students will have chances to study abroad. Studying in another country is a great way to learn a new language and understand different cultures. It helps students in their studies and their future jobs. Travel for everyone is also getting simpler. When people from the UK travel to countries in the EU, they go through passport control at the airport. Before, they often had to wait in long lines. They could not use the fast electronic gates called e-gates. Now this will change. The New Deal allows people from the UK to use these faster e-gates at many airports in the EU. This is for UK citizens who are 18 years old or older. Using e-gates is much faster than waiting for a person to check your passport. This means less time waiting in lines at the airport. People will have more time for their holiday or business trip. This makes traveling between the UK and the EU quicker and less stressful for many. Traveling with pets is also easier now. Many people like to take their dogs or cats with them when they travel. Before, after Brexit, it was harder to travel with pets from the UK to the EU. People needed special papers for each trip. This took time and cost money. The New Deal brings back pet passports. A pet passport is like a special book for your dog or cat. It has information about your pet, like their vaccinations. With a pet passport, you do not need new papers every time you travel. You can use the same passport for many trips. This makes traveling with pets much simpler. It is good news for pet owners who want to visit friends or family in the EU or go on holiday with their furry friends. These changes help people connect more easily. They help young people learn and grow. They make holidays and business trips faster and more pleasant. And they make it possible to bring your pet with you without lots of paperwork. The deal aims to bring back some of the easy travel and study that people had before. It shows that the UK and the EU want people to move and connect more freely again in certain ways. 5. Keeping Northern Ireland special. This new deal talks a lot about Northern Ireland. It says that Northern Ireland will stay in a special position. This special way of doing things was agreed before to help keep peace there. The deal does not change this special status. One important part is making trade easier. Goods move between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The deal aims to make this simpler. Before, there were many checks on these goods. Now, the plan is to have fewer checks. This helps things like food and other products move more freely. It uses the rules from an older agreement called the Windsor Framework. This means that goods can flow easily again between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he fully supports this special way for Northern Ireland. He supports the past agreements that help protect peace. So the deal keeps these important parts in place. Fisheries in the waters around Northern Ireland also stay stable under this deal. The UK government also made some things very clear. They said that the UK will not join the EU's single market again. They also said the UK will not join the EU's customs union again. These are important promises from the UK government. They say the UK will stay outside these EU groups. The government says any work done together with the EU is based on new agreements like treaties. It is not about following EU law directly. They say cooperation is something the UK chooses to do, not something the EU tells them to do. However, some people are not so sure. These people worry about some parts of the deal. They think the UK might have to follow EU rules too much. They call this dynamic alignment. This means the UK might have to change its rules to match the EU's rules. They worry this could happen with things like food rules or rules about electricity. Some critics think this goes against the main idea of Brexit, which was to make the UK's own rules. For example, the deal talks about working together on rules for food safety and animal health. It also talks about working towards joining the EU's electricity market. Some people see this as the UK accepting EU rules in these areas. They say this makes the UK a rule taker from Brussels again, even if it is not official EU law. The UK government says this is not true. They say the UK keeps its own laws and can choose how it works with the EU. They say this cooperation is good because it helps trade and other things work better. They say the deal does not mean the UK is going back into the EU system. They say it is about working together as two separate partners. So, Northern Ireland keeps its special trade status. Trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland should get easier. The UK government promises not to rejoin the single market or customs union, but some people still worry that the UK might follow EU rules too closely in the future. 6. Working together on safety. The new deal between the UK and the EU has a special part about keeping people safe. It is called a new partnership for security and defense. This means the UK and the countries in the EU will work together more closely than before on matters of safety for everyone. One important change is for companies in the UK that work in the defense area. These companies make things like equipment or technology to protect countries. Now these companies can join projects that EU countries are doing together. Before, it was harder for them to do this. The source text says this can help UK defense companies be part of a big plan the EU has. This plan is about making Europe safer and has a lot of money, about £150 billion. British companies can now try to get work from this fund. This is good news for many people who work in these companies in the UK, especially engineers and people who build things for safety and defense. This partnership helps UK businesses and jobs grow. The agreement also makes it easier for police and people who work in courts to help each other. They will share more information. If someone commits a crime in one place and goes to another, the police can now share details more easily. This includes important information like fingerprints. It also includes DNA information, which is unique for every person. They will also share records of crimes people have committed. A new step is that the UK is asking to use a list of faces that police in the EU use. This is a database that helps identify people. Having access to this helps the UK police find suspects faster. All this sharing helps police forces in both the UK and the EU catch criminals, especially those who try to hide by moving between countries. It helps stop serious crimes like trafficking people or drugs, and helps find people who are wanted by the law in another country. This closer work helps fight crime that crosses borders. It also helps to stop groups that plan bad things like terrorism. Terrorist groups do not respect borders, so police must work together across countries. The UK and the EU also agreed to work together more on people crossing borders without permission. They will share information to stop people who illegally bring others across the sea or land. They will also work together on plans to send people back to their home countries if they do not have the right to stay. This part of the deal is important because many countries in Europe are trying to manage people moving across borders safely and fairly. Beyond crime and borders, the UK and the EU will stand together on big world problems. The deal says they strongly support Ukraine. They are united against Russia's actions. They will keep working together on putting limits on Russia, like stopping trade in certain things. This shows that on big world issues, the UK and the EU have the same ideas and want to work together. This is important for peace and safety in Europe and the world. It shows that the UK is still an important partner in keeping Europe safe. Leaders from both the UK and the EU said that this new safety partnership makes everyone more secure. It helps the UK be part of bigger safety plans in Europe. It shows that they can work together on important problems in the world today. This part of the deal is a big step. It covers many things, from helping defense companies to police sharing information about criminals. It also covers working together to stop threats that come from outside, like cyber attacks or fake information spread by other countries. Working together on safety is a key part of the new agreement. It helps build trust between the UK and the EU. It makes sure that they can help each other if there are problems that affect everyone's safety. This cooperation is important for the future relationship. It means the UK and EU countries can face dangers together. It helps people feel safer knowing that police and defense forces are working across borders to protect them. This new plan for security is a strong sign of working together. It shows that safety is a shared goal. 7. The fishing deal and how it happened. The new deal between the UK and the EU included something important for fishing. This part of the deal was about which boats can fish in which waters. Fishing has been a difficult topic for a long time. The deal says that boats from the EU can fish in UK waters for 12 more years. This access will continue until the middle of the year 2038. This means that the rules for fishing access stayed mostly the same as before, but for a much longer time. The UK government said this long time period is good. They said it brings stability for the fishing industry. Stability means things do not change quickly, which can help businesses plan for the future. Both the UK and EU fishing sectors can know the rules for many years ahead. Along with the Fishing Access Agreement, the UK government also promised money for its own fishing towns and people. There will be a fund of £360 million. This money is planned to help fishing communities on the coast. It can help fishers buy better boats or equipment. It can also help towns that depend on fishing by supporting tourism or finding new ways to sell fish. The fishing deal was a big topic during the talks. Some people in the UK were not happy about letting EU boats fish in UK waters for so long. They felt the UK should have more control over its own fish. For example, Mr. Nigel Farage said it was a very bad deal for British fishing. Ms. Kemi Badenoch, a politician, also said the deal on fishing access was too long. But people who supported the deal said it was a good step. They said it gives UK fishers certainty and helps them sell their fish more easily in the EU because of other parts of the deal about trade. The EU side was happy because their fishers also got stability and can continue fishing in the areas they know. So, how did this fishing deal and the whole big agreement happen? It did not happen fast. It took many months of talking. After the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer was elected, officials from the UK and the EU started talking quietly. They worked for about 6 months. Prime Minister Starmer also talked personally to leaders from different EU countries. This helped to build trust between the two sides after some difficult years. The talks were not always easy. Different countries and people wanted different things. For example, France wanted to make sure their boats could still fish in UK waters. Some people in the UK government had different ideas about how much access to give. The talks came to an important point just before the big meeting in London. Negotiators like Mr. Nick Thomas Simmons for the UK worked very hard. They even worked late at night to finish the details before the leaders met. Finally, the leaders met in London. Prime Minister Starmer met with the head of the European Commission, Ms. Ursula von der Leyen, and the head of the European Council, Mr. Antonio Costa. Mr. Costa is also the Prime Minister of Portugal and was leading the EU meetings at that time. The meeting was friendly. The leaders smiled and said good things about the New Deal. Ms. von der Leyen called Prime Minister Starmer dear Keir. They talked about how the deal would help people and businesses. The fishing deal was one of the most difficult parts to agree on. In the end, the UK agreed to the longer period for fishing access. This was seen by some as a big compromise for the UK. But in return, the UK got other things in the deal, like easier trade rules and working together on safety. So the fishing deal happened after long and sometimes hard talks. It was a mix of compromise and finding ways for both sides to get something important. 8. What happens next? After the UK and EU made their new deal, many people had different ideas about it. The reactions were mixed. Some people thought the deal was very good. They praised it. Others did not like it. They criticized it. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said the deal was good for the country. He said it would bring jobs, help with bills, and make borders stronger. Businesses in the UK and EU also said the deal was helpful. They thought it would make trading easier. But not everyone was happy. Some people in the UK said the deal was bad, especially about fishing. Nigel Farage said it was very bad for the fishing industry. Other people, like Kemi Badenoch and Boris Johnson, worried that the UK might have to follow some EU rules again. They did not like this idea. In the EU, people were mostly happy. Leaders like Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa said it was a good day. They said the deal would help people in the UK and the EU. EU businesses also said they were happy to work more with the UK. They saw the deal as a step towards stronger friendship. What does this mean for the economy? The deal might help trade a little bit. It could make it easier for companies to sell things between the UK and the EU. This might bring a small amount of extra money to the economy over many years. It might also help businesses feel more sure about the future. This could bring more investment. The deal is important because it shows that the UK and the EU can talk and work together again. After Brexit, it was sometimes difficult. Now they have agreed to meet often and talk about important things like trade, safety, and working together on world problems. But this deal is just the start. Many parts of the deal are new plans. We need to wait and see if these plans will really happen. For example, the plans for young people to study and work easily are not finished yet. The plans for energy and other things also need more work. The future of the relationship between the UK and the EU will keep changing. Both sides will watch to see if the deal brings the good things it promises. Will it really help businesses? Will it make travel easier? Will it help keep everyone safe? Only time will tell if this new start is truly good for everyone. What do you think about the UK and EU working together like this?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.